Yes, Mr. Sivan.
Advocate Munisi is about to take the witness to the cross-examination. However, I've been made to understand by Mr. Ramosipiri that he would like to take some few aspects with the witness at this stage.
I have been requested by Mr. Munisi to stand in for him. He said he's got an agent application in Joburg, High Court.
No, Judge Mukherjee, just look at this. Hello, if I can silence you. Tell me to whom it is addressed, that thing.
It is addressed to you.
I am not Mukherjee, please. How do you read a letter?
I think it's just a typographical mistake.
No, show me some shallow. It comes from a black firm.
Apologies, my lord, it's a wrong spelling.
Okay, fine.
Thank you, madam.
Okay. So he says he's not coming today.
Yes, madam. He apparently said that he would have informed the registrar that he would have requested to be excused.
Okay. Yes, Mr.
As the court pleases, my lord, I beg leave to just take a few aspects with the witness before Mr. Advocate Munisi commences. Morning, ma'am. Ma'am, I just want to take a few aspects with you. The first one pertains to what has been made a lot of during evidence that Ms. Kelly Kumalo was using about 6 or 8 numbers, cell numbers at the time. And I want to take you to Exhibit 01, which is the exhibit by Colonel Lamberto Stein.
By Colonel who?
Colonel Stein, my lord, Lamberto Stein.
Can you share that exhibit with me?
Thank you. Do you have the, okay. And at paragraph 5 thereof, page 3, and I'm going to read, the heading says, Kelly Kumalo, paragraph 5. During my analysis, I identified the following numbers which belongs to Kelly Kumalo. Gives the ID number, which I'm not going to read in record, which I can prove via links with family, friends, XDS, expert decision systems, central database, in brackets, reference, police crime administration system, e-NATIS, and Truecaller. And the following extraction out of the XDS to trace the following numbers of Kelly Kumalo. The first one that is mentioned is 2779 494 8773, and the date next to it is 2018-05-07. Do you see that?
Yes.
And then he goes on to say, used as contact number as per Rosebank case 1 of 06-2007. That was an offense of theft, general victim. Right? The second one listed is 27733885-730, and the date next to it is 2017-05-03. You see that?
86.
Sorry?
It's 86, not 85.
Oh, 86, I'm sorry. Yeah, thanks for the correction. And then the next one is 2779 6114562104. The date next to it is 2017-0408. And we move on to page 4. A landline is listed, and I might just well read it onto record. It's 2711-883-1447. The date listed next to it is 2017-0328. And the next one is 2772-938-2498. This is the number for which the section 205 was obtained, correct? And another landline is mentioned. The number is 2711-413-1179, and the date next to it is 2015-0128. You see that?
Yes.
And the next cell number is 2773-451-5017. The date next to it is 2012-0827. And then lastly, the number also for which the 205 was obtained is 2782-704-4358. Right. Now, in your evidence, and I was just asking my learned colleagues to assist me with the relevant exhibit, where you obtained the section, your section 15.4 in terms of the RICA Act, the case IDs and the numbers that you obtained in relation to that, together with the section 205 request by Captain Boonstra, right? All of these numbers that I've mentioned, especially the cell phone numbers, did you obtain the section 205s thereof? We know that only two, the 2498 and the 4358, the rest of the cell numbers in terms of the request were the 205s ever obtained.
To be quite honest, offhand, I cannot tell you because there were a number of Section 205 subpoenas requested for this case.
Yes.
What I can tell you is that off the cuff, we will not have data for the 011 numbers.
Yes.
And any other number that is not serviced by Vodacom, we will not have data for that.
Yena kulezi inombolo lezi ebemtshela ngazo lasebuzwa ukuthi ngabe wawuthole isicelo ukuya ngalo mthetho we-205 ukuthi ungazithola ukuthi nazo ukuthi yena cha ukusukela esandleni njena angeke ngikhone ukukutshela ngenxa yokuthi sathola isicelo soyinombolo eziningi kanti amanye amanombolo okufana nawo lawo Vodacom sasingeke sikhone ukuthi siwaphenye wona.
Okay, now I know it may sound speculative. If you can answer me. Off the cuff, barring number porting to another service provider, the 2779 will, if it starts with 2779, will it be a Vodacom number or another service provider?
It could be Vodacom,
Yes.
it could have been ported out of
Okay,
Vodacom.
all right.
Kusho ukuthi yena kule nombolo lephelela nge-2779
And also
kungakhonakala ukuthi ingaba yaka-Vodacom noma yona yaka-Vodacom.
and then similarly with the number 277072, it could be a Vodacom number, barring that it may also be ported to another service provider, correct?
Exactly.
nayo lena uthi kungakhonakala ukuthi leyo nombolo iphothwe yisebenziswa abanye abama-cellphone ingaba kubo.
Now, in the absence of those 205s, because we are trying to ascertain whether communication, because the purpose of, according to the analysis by Colonel Steyn and the mandate to him, was to check whether or not there were communications intercede between the parties in the house and the parties in the house with the suspects. So in the absence of this, the picture then becomes incomplete because we don't have the 205s from the other service providers, for example.
Sorry, why do you say the picture becomes complete?
I'm saying incomplete.
This witness,
Yes.
this witness
Yes.
reacts on affidavit.
Yes.
After reading the affidavit, they say, give us section 205 of Rathamokwatleng.
Yes.
The number is, they don't even tell her the number, the name. They say
Yes.
the number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She doesn't have authority to go beyond that. Am I right? Actually, section 200. Is it 200?
With section 205 for the
No,
subpoenas.
no, no. Section 200 it tells you what happens when information like this is requested, how you go about it.
No, I'm not saying she was supposed to go beyond, because she's saying the other numbers that I've listed may have been from other service providers. So hence I'm saying the picture is incomplete without those. I'm not saying she didn't do her job.
You may say that to Sebande, your colleague, but not to those witnesses. This witness, your mandate is circumscribed.
Yes.
And you said it was 3 numbers you're supposed to deal with concerning this matter.
Yes.
That's it. Otherwise, we're going to be here the whole year.
kusho ukuthi yena ebesebenza njena ngesiqelo lesi kwaqelwa u-state ukuthi abeke ziphi inombolo.
My Lord, I want to also raise an objection at this stage, because from what I understood when this question was raised yesterday, it was hypothesis. Is it now being stated as a fact that there was a communication between the people in the house as well as the suspect?
My Lord, I'm saying that was the evidence of Mr. Steyn. So I'm premising my question. I'm not speaking about the truthfulness of whatever was raised by Mr. Ngomezulu regarding these questions, my Lord. And I'm over that because I've understood the evidence of the witnesses.
My Lord, again, I do not see where Colonel Steyn said there was communication between the people in the house as well as the suspect from his evidence.
My Lord, we're speaking at cross purposes. What I'm saying is that the evidence of Colonel Steyn was that his mandate from Colonel Beninda was to check various communications, that is, the parties in the house intercede, and whether those parties then communicated with the would-be suspects. I'm not saying he said there was communication between those parties.
Okay.
As the court places. Now, let us complete this picture, man. Yesterday, I partly left it in limbo. There's a tower called Moleleki Tower,
Yes.
right? And according to Colonel Steyn again, he said that tower serviced amongst the areas, because it's not one particular area, but one of the areas itself was the Basotho hostel, right? I'm not sure how we came to that conclusion, but that was his testimony. Now, the background for this question is the following. A witness came to court here, Mr. Zungu, and testified that on the day in question, he was with other people at the Basotho hostel where there was a song and dance and meat eating and the merry, including the 5 suspects before court. Now, my question simply is this. It's the same exercise that we went through yesterday with the 816 number that is attributed to accused number 3. If you look on the date of the 26th of October 2014, is there a stage, any stage, where that 816 number registered any activity at the Moleleki Tower? So triple G1. So if you look at triple G1, 26th of October 2014.
specific time for the 26th?
Yes. If you just generally look, because the witness says, if I recall his evidence correctly, Mr. Zungu, he joined them around 2-3 in the afternoon at the hostel until they departed later at night.
So you want this witness to do what? This one?
To look at the 26th.
Why don't you put it to her? It would make sense to me.
Yes.
If you put it to her that Zungu says when he was at the hostel, at Basotho hostel, accused number 3 or 4 or 5 phoned. He was using the cell phone. Because that's the only way you can connect the evidence. Otherwise, this lady, I don't know how you're going to do it.
My Lord, I'm saying, with respect to 8169,
Phoning who? That's the point.
location of the tower. itself.
Yes, but
Yes.
phoning who?
It could have phoned anyone, my Lord. What I'm interested in is not a particular person, it's the location of the tower.
My Lord, I also want to raise an objection. Can the witness also be referred to the relevant passage in the evidence of Colonel Stein where he says the Moleleki Tower service the Basotho hostel?
You know what? I don't want to I don't want to be said I'm interfering. Colonel Stein at some stage was asked, can you estimate the distance between the call which was made allegedly from a particular house? I don't know if it's Kelly's house or whatever, because they said that phone, you remember, the phone which was allegedly picked up or stolen or robbed, its track ended up to the hostel. You remember that evidence?
Yes.
Right. And Stein estimates that as 1.5 kilometers. Remember that. Now, this, okay, it doesn't matter, but listening to this lady, common sense and logic tells you that she said the radius in build-up area is what? Of the towers?
In built-up areas, anything from 200
Yeah.
meters to 5 kilometers.
That's it. That's how I see the evidence and interpret it. Maybe I'm wrong. Fine.
I'm not sure, my Lord, we are on the same wavelength
Okay.
with the court. And with respect to, just to address my learned colleagues' objection, that is something, because I've got the record here, that is something that I'll go back to the record on and then talk to him. Now, let's speak about the crime scene itself, which is 13511 Kutlwano Street, Mzamo section, Spray View. Again, Colonel Stein stated that, according to him, this address specifically is covered by the Spread View and Parque towers. And then in your evidence, you said the distance from Spread View Tower to the crime scene is how many meters or kilometers?
I'm referring back to the map.
Yes.
From Spruit View to the crime scene.
Okay.
So
If I refer you to Exhibit J7 in brackets category.
Yes. So on page 4 of the map, it says distances to crime scene. So the first entry is Spruit View to the address 13511 Kutlwano Street. It's 1.18 kilometers.
uthi ukusukela la kwakuyenzeka khona isehlakalo ukusuka kule tower ikhele nge-1.18 kilometers.
And then similarly, the distance from Parquet to the crime scene.
From Parquet to the crime scene, it's 2.2 kilometers.
Kanti mawusuka kule tower yaseyithiwa iParquet 2.2 kilometers.
And now, in your expertise and given the evidence that you've given about the coverage area, the range of a tower, will both towers, in your opinion, serve the crime scene?
Yes, it's within the vicinity.
Ubuya ngaye omabili lamatawa ayakhona ukuthi afike kulapho kwenzeka khona lesi siyehlakalo.
Now, the final aspect that I would like to touch with you refers to Exhibit GD 5E Roman figure 1. That will be the section 205 in respect of the number that ends with 24.
Okay, which page are we looking at?
So now, if I may take instructions. Thank you, Madam Minister. It will be for the number that ends with 8460. Do you have that in front of you? Exhibit DD 5E Roman figure 2.
This exhibit comprises of number 6890.
Yes, there's another one. The number is attributed and associated to accused number 2. The 8460. It was given to us as Exhibit DD5E, Roman figure 2.
I don't see that number on this exhibit. Number ending
8460.
Yes, 8460 is this small section
Yes, the
here.
small section. I just want you to go to just a few aspects on that one. The towers on the 17th of June 2020. We're starting at 08:52:07.
On the 17th of June at 08:52:07, the tower that was picked up was Hawaii Street.
Which the tower there by noma the tower there by pick up Hawaii. The by pick up May 17th June.
And the transaction or the activity?
That activity was a call that was received from 081057786 to the number ending 8460, and that cell phone was on voicemail, which reflects as CF.
Uthi leyo ikhomba ukuthi kwakuyi inombolo lephelela nge 64890 kanti ithe mayishayela kulenye yathola leya iya ku voicemail.
And then at 08:53 and 59 seconds,
The tower is the old apostolic church,
itawa yi Old Apostolic Church,
and the activity is 8460, still being on voicemail.
kanti yona le nomboro ye 8460 yaya ku voicemail futhi.
And that was from the number 7786.
Ya yi nomboro le ye 7786.
And at 2 times at 093707 and 100834, which towers are picked there?
Fosler Square.
Leyo yi to yi pick up Postores Square.
And then the activity?
8460 remains on voicemail, and
8460 yilogi ku voicemail nangaleso sikhathi.
at 9:37 a call came from 7786,
Kuyase kuvela ucingo leli laliqhamuka ku 7786.
and at 10:08 it was a number ending 1698.
Bese kwakuyi le inombolo le beyishayela kwakuyi 1698 lephelela ngo 1698.
And then we go to 153448.
That transaction was a empty SMS which was received by 8460. That tower reflecting is Ben Fullion.
Lena kwakuyi SMS iqhamuka ku 8460 kuyinombolo ka MTN.
Now, before you go further, just this transaction at 153448, Colonel Stein testified that, and also Sergeant Mohale, that Bellenfeldwin Street, it's a street closer to the Pretoria North SAPS, right? And then let's move, because I'll come back to this aspect when I summarize it together. At 1940 and 22.
At 1940-22, we pick up Pretoria North, and the transaction there was the number 8460, received a call from the number ending 7786, and that lasted 43 seconds.
Leyo kwakuyinombolo le 8460 kanti ya iqhamuka ngase Pretoria North ibanjwa ile tower yase Pretoria North.
Now, let me give you a bit of a background. The reason I'm focusing on this fewer transaction with the 8460 number, and then I'll want to also bring in together the 6890, is that my instructions from accused number 2, and it's been put to the witnesses, that he was arrested on the 16th of June 2020. And when he was arrested, the two police officers that arrested him, Sergeants Mohane and Mabena, confiscated 2 phones on him, right? And my instructions are this number, the 0762648446 number, was on the smaller phone, the white phone that belongs to her sister, but it was in his possession. And the 6890 was in the Samsung Galaxy with the 6890 number together with another 073 number, because it was a dual SIM number. Now, if we look at these transactions, the 17/6/2020, firstly, on the 17th, accused number 2 was in custody in the Pretoria North police station. He was never booked out during that day. So when these transactions occurred, in line with your evidence that a transaction occurs when the phone is within the vicinity of a tower. So the user must have been within the vicinity of a tower for it to have a signal. The accused was never at Hawaii We don't know where that is, but the phosphorus is squared because we know that towers are named after locations sometimes. So he was never there. He was never booked out on the day. And then the importance thereof will come here. At 1940 and 22, the last transaction on the 17th, this phone registers at 3G Pretoria North NGA. And then if we go to Exhibit DDE, Roman figure 1, with respect to the 6890 number, we will see that at around the same time, maybe 1950, 55, accused number 2 was still in Pretoria North, but the 6890 is still making activities, and we know for background purposes, I'm sorry for being long, that at the time, accused number 2 was being interrogated by the police at the boardroom, because we've got an entry, which is Exhibit NN from Pretoria North, and I'm going to read, it says, investigation back 1955, Sandizo Bongani Ntanzi, booked it back by Sergeant Mohan. So when these transactions were occurring, the phones were not with accused number 2. That's the gist of what I'm trying to put to you. Right?
Uthi yena ngaleso sikhathi kuyenzwa la masimo unumber 2 bengeka khona ukwenza ngoba ngaleso sikhathi bese police station namakhona ngoba ukusho umthali nomabhena yena bengeka khona ukuthi khona ukushaya ucingo ngaleso sikhathi ngoba usabuzwa imibuzo ngamapolice yena mayiphendula ngibona kunikina ngena ikhaya.
Okay. Then let's move to the date with respect to 8460. Let's move to the date of the 18th of June 2020. Let's start at the time 11:10:45.
At 11:10.
My Lord, can I just jump in here? Can the witness also be given an opportunity to respond to what has been said? And then furthermore, our version is that the phones were not confiscated at that stage, my Lord.
My Lord, as I stated under host, I said data is data. I'm not going according to the version. I'm going according to the data here.
Which data is that?
The data of the phone 8460 that accused number 2 said it's his number, and the data of 6890. I'm not going according to any version.
Indeed, so much, but can the witness comment on the activities as well, whether those were phone calls, whether the phone was on voicemail? Because the impression that is being created, it seems that the phone was on call or SMSs were being sent.
Sorry, according to the state version, those 2 cell phones allegedly taken by Mabena and his colleague, according to Mr. Ramsepedi, when were they actually taken?
From the accused.
From the state's version.
8th of February 2021.
8th of February.
That's correct.
And
were
they booked in the SAP 13 register?
That's correct.
On the 8th of June.
8th of February 2021.
8th of February.
That's correct.
Okay,
and
fine.
eventually they were taken to Middelburg for downloading and further analysis. That's correct.
Yes, Mr. Ramsipi, you are asking about the 16th, the 18th, the 17th. According to the state's version, they say that phone was booked in apparently at Middelburg, is it?
Yes, at the TSU.
That's correct.
So,
my Lord, we've got mutually destructive versions.
I hear you.
Yes. Theirs is that the phone was obtained by Mohani and Mabena, and only the one phone, the 6890, at Valeria Police Station on the 7th of February 2021. The version of accused number 2 and my instructions are that the phones were there and then on the 16th of June 2020. When he was arrested, Mabena and Mohani took the phones. Hence, my lord, the gist of what I'm showing the witness is that indeed the following day, when accused number 2 is in Pretoria North Police Station, coincidentally, the 8460 registers an activity in Pretoria North, and similarly with the 6890 registers activities in the Pretoria North tower, my lord.
Yeah, fine. You can go on.
Yes.
I was just wanting to refresh my memory about the version of the state.
Yes, that is the proper understanding, even from myself, my lord. Now let's go to the activity of the 18th of June 2020 with respect to the 8460 number.
On the 18th of June at 11:10:45, 8460 received an SMS, and the tower reflected there is West at Driefontein mine.
Yeah, before we proceed, because
Yisuke yathola SMS kanti ngaleso sikhathi ithola SMS le tower le beyithumela leyo SMS kwakuyithawa le yase Driefontein mine.
I just want to give you a bit of background with respect to these transactions. It is the evidence of Sergeant Mohani, and indeed accused number 2 has given me the same instructions that on the 18th of June, he was taken to Sibanye Still Water Mine. That is where he was employed at the time of his arrest for the police officer, Sergeant Mohani Mabena, later joined by Colonel, he was Colonel by then, but now Brigadier Geninda and Sergeant Mohola for investigative purposes. So if we see, and also Colonel Stein testified about this when he was speaking about the AVL record of the motor vehicle that transported accused number 2 to Sibanye mine. So if we see West Driefontein mines and East Driefontein, I'd assume those are the towers at the Sibanye mine, right? So just I interjected you. What was the transaction there at 11:10:45?
At 11:10:45, the number ending 8460 received an SMS.
Uthi leyo nomboro le iphelela nge-8460 ngaleso sikhathi yithole i-SMS.
And the tower location?
That was West Driefontein mine.
Leyo tower le beyithumela le SMS kwakuyithawa le yase West Driefontein mine.
And let's go to the transaction of the time 11:39 and 58 seconds.
8460 was on voicemail at 11:39:58 seconds. The tower reflecting is East Driefontein, and the cell phone was on voicemail during that time.
Yona le nomboro ngaleso sikhathi yithola le SMS yase kule tower yase Driefontein yaya ku voicemail.
The time of 11:42:05.
8460 was still on voicemail.
Nangaleso sikhathi yona i-8460 yayisese ku voicemail.
East Driefontein was still the tower picked up.
Itower le beyithola leyo SMS kwa kuyitower le yase West Driefontein mine.
And then the time of 12:08:17.
During that time, 8460 was still on voicemail, and the tower picked up was West Driefontein mine.
Nangaleso sikhathi i-8460 yayisese ku voicemail. Naleyo tower kwakusese yona le yase West Driefontein mine.
And the times, let me put them together, 16:35 until 14:07, in fact, 14:30:52.
8460 remained on voicemail, and East Driefontein mine, East Driefontein was the tower.
East Driefontein Mine Tower yona yayithumela ifuna ukuthintana ne-8460 kodwa yayithole ukuthi yona leyo cellphone yisese ku-voicemail.
Okay. And then let's go to the time of 1903 and 20.
8460 remains on voicemail. The tower reflecting there is Furwood Park.
Nangaleso sikhathi yona le nombolo lephelela nge-8460 yayisese ku-voicemail kodwa itower le bethumela yayithintana nayo yitower yase-Furwood Park.
Okay, we've already dealt with this earlier yesterday when I dealt with you that, and I gave you the background to say, upon return from the Sibanye Stillwater mines, the evidence of Sergeant Mohani was that they then went towards the Albertine side, accused number 2 in transit in the car that they were transporting him in because they were doing certain investigation in Albertine. But importantly, this Furwood Park SGS tower is in Furwood Park, a township in Albertine, as we have seen. So those were the aspects that I wanted to take with you. My Lord, if I may approach case number 2.
Yes.
As the court pleases, my Lord, just one aspect. Now, per the evidence, this phone, as the state's version, not our version, that Mohani says it was taken from accused number 2 from Valeria Police Station on the 7th of February 2021. I want you to go to the date that we talked about, which is from the 15th of March 2021, and tell me if that phone, whilst it's at the TSU in Middelburg, is still making transactions.
As we mentioned yesterday, I was supposed to have gotten that case ID with
Yes.
the relevant information,
Yeah.
and I didn't receive it.
No. There's a bit. Remember, the bit that I wanted was from the 3rd of March, because the record ends on the 2nd of February 2021. But that one, let's put it aside until you get the case ID and the relevant information from my colleague. I'm taking you about the bit now that does exist there after the phone was confiscated by the police. I think the date will be the 15th of March 2021.
This data, the 15th of March. This data only goes up until the 12th of February.
12th of February.
So we would require
Yeah, okay, we will
the case
revisit, then we
ID.
will revisit that again. As the court pleases, madam.
Uthi njengoba bebheka ukuthi makabuke ngeyi-15 zakaMarch ukuthi lena ayifiki la iphelela ngeyi-7 zakaFebruary nge-minimum ephethe kuye la.
Sorry, that data, which you say ends on the 12th.
Yes, my lord. This is on page
Yeah.
1 of 2, on case ID 103-1246.
And you say you don't have that,
It's not attached to here.
but were you instructed to actually get that data in terms of the affidavit?
I do have that data available, but it's not printed here.
It's not in your computer.
It is.
Where's your computer? Yeah, look at it.
Okay. And it's fine if you don't have a copy, my lord?
Yeah, because you'll call council to go there
Okay.
and have a look at the computer. Or you can take the computer to council.
Okay. Can I project it?
Yes,
on the
yes,
screen?
yes.
Okay, let me look for the data first. Can we have the screen on, please?
Mrs. Rande, screen.
We are looking at the 15th of...
Yes, I just want, and it's a general question, because like I'm saying, we now know, according to the version of the state, that the phone was taken from accused number 2 on the 7th of February 2021. And there's that lacuna where you say the evidence you're still going to have to look into the case ID. But I want to know, after the 7th of February, based on this data here, are there any other activities? Because now this phone is with the TSU in Middleburg.
Okay, so on the printed version, it ends at 12th of March, and it reflects an undefined tower.
Yes.
Once we look at the screen, the data then continues from the 2nd of March 2021,
Yes.
and we pick up Mtogoda Tower.
Uthi mayibuka lana njengoba isukela nge-2 zakaMarch mayibuka ithawa le itholayo yimdokoda tower.
Okay. And do you know what the activities were there for the phone to pick up the tower?
Yes, these are USSD interactions, which means it's you know, the star 140 or star 120 hash. It's an interactive application that you do on your handset itself.
Okay.
Kanti ukuya ngale mininingwane ibonisa ukuthi le cellphone isebenzise njena ukuthi isebenze nge-USSD ile uthi mawuyigqova le cellphone yakho bese wenza u-star bese ufaka leyo nto oyifinayo bese yenza USSD.
And then beneath that, I see there's a call forward, but unfortunately I'm too far.
Yes, it is a call forwarding, which means 8460 was on voicemail from 1959 right until 1837.
Kwaba khona ucingo leli la lifanele lishayele le nombolo kodwa nangaleso sikhathi lelo cingo anzange likhone ukungena ngokuthi lithole ukuthi leyo cellphone isesebenzisabhaliwe.
And after, so sorry ma'am, after the USSD entries that I see, the 4 below there, there's another call forward, there's something that I cannot decipher, and there's MTSMM, mobile terminating text messages, SMSs. Can you put at least the MTSMs into record now?
Yes, on the 16th of March at 12:06:48, number ending 8460 received an SMS.
Nge-16 March yona le nombolo le lela nge-8460 yathola i-SMS
From the number 087-537-0953, and the tower reflecting here is Kilmoon.
yase ithola leyo ithawa lebe ithumela igama layo leyo thawa i-Kilmoon.
I want to jump in here and object. This number ending with 8460, is it the number that was confiscated with the cell phone at Valeria, or is the number ending with 6890 that was confiscated at Valeria?
Okay. Yeah, my lord, let me withdraw those questions. My mind is at cross purposes because this is in respect of the 846 number. So the number that we're still waiting for the data from the 2nd of March onwards.
She's got it there, please. It's in the computer, she says. Everything which you say.
No, the one for the...
Wait. The data you're saying you are waiting for it from
Yes.
your colleague, Mr. Sebanda. The witness says she has it in her computer.
Okay, let me ask
So
her.
why should we wait
No, let me
for the
ask
hard
her.
copy when we've got it here?
Let me ask her, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am. I see. I've taken you out of the number because this pertains to 8460. I want the data for 6890 from the 2nd of February to after the period when the phone was taken, that is the 7th, the 8th when it was taken to TSU in Middleburg. Do you have that on your laptop as well?
The number ending 6890.
Remember, on exhibit DD5E, Roman figure 1, it ends on the 2nd of February 2021. But with the version of the state that the phone was taken from 7 February from accused number 2 at Valeria, and then on the 8th is transferred to TSU for analysis and downloading. So that's the data I'm interested in.
Okay, just bear with me. It is a few cases to go through. did not, the previous, I just want to show you the previous case. So this is for the same number.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you can see, it's
Melody, if I may
6890.
go through.
Yes, I said you should.
Yes.
So it shows 6890,
Yeah.
and then this data starts from the 1st of September 2020. I'm hovering over here, right? If we go to the end of this, we in November.
Mawuyibuka lana le nombolo lesula ke 6890 kusukela ngeyiphelele zaka-September. Ufuna ukuyibheka ukuthi iphelelaphi.
So on this set of data, it ends round about November. If you can see my mouse hovering here, 29th November.
29th November.
Yes.
Kusho ukuthi
And then as we move on to the next date, we then only see data from the 15th of March 2021, which I have indicated previously. So from the period, I would say sometime in December, right until early March,
No activity.
we don't have any activity.
kusukela lapho mase eyibheka lana akuzange kube khona okuthize lokukwenzekayo emveni kwalokho.
Ma'am, now I'm a bit confused. Remember when we were dealing with, and when you were led on the transactions at Queenswood, most of those transactions relate to December 2020. So it doesn't end with 29 November. But importantly, this is the data, the 15th of March onwards. It was my question that after the phone was allegedly confiscated by the police, does it make transactions whilst it's in the hands of, I don't know what they are called in TSU in Middleburg, whether they are specialists, they are experts, but in the hands of the police because they are law enforcement agents.
Okay, we can make absolutely sure. I just went to the last page with transactions, so it could be sometime in December. But if we look at 2021,
Yes.
this is where the transactions start from.
But my gist and my question is, transactions are made on the 15th or from the 15th of March
Yes.
on the very same 6890, whilst it is, we know, in the hands of TSU in Middleburg. That was my question.
Well, as we can see, data is from the 15th of
That's the court
March.
basis, Mano. That's what
Ukuthi
I'm
ngabe uyayibuka lana ukuya ngale ndlela engakhona noma la ma-cellphone amaphoyisa bese bawathathile akulaba abawafunyayo ama-TSU kodwa wona i-cellphone yabonisa lana ukuthi iphelele ne-50 zakamasi.
Yes, it's still. Nisi.
As it is the court, Madam, I realize it's almost 20 past 11. I'm not so sure whether we need to proceed or it's just an opportune time to take a short break.
Yeah, okay, let's break continue.
As it is the court. Rosie, when I talk to you.
Cross-examination. Just want to raise one objection on the
You
last
what?
aspect. One objection on
Against whom?
Against Mr. Ramusipili's line of questioning, just on the last aspect.
Yeah.
When he indicated that on the 15th of March, there were activities on the phone ending with 6890. From my understanding, activities on NEMO includes outgoing, incoming call, and text messages. Can he then put it into a proper perspective and point out those activities to the witness? Because the impression that is being created that those activities as per NEMO.
Sorry, my lord, if I may go here because I cannot see the screen. I'll respond from this man. Now let's go back to this the date of the 15th of March 2021. And first by asking you, this information that is here, this page that is depicted on the big screen, where does it come from?
It is a continuation of this big data exhibit DD5.
And DD5, we agree that it's extracted from NIMO.
Yes, that's correct.
Ukuthi le mininingwane levela lana emveni kwelanga le-15 zakaMarch ukuqhubekela phambili yile mininingwane leyithole ku-NIMO.
And by activity, let's be clear on that one. I went through with you with that yesterday. Activity, it's text message, received, sent, calls made, received, unanswered, which is call forwards, or the phone is off. It will show somebody tried to phone you. Also data usage, that is Google, WhatsApp, whatever you are doing on the internet, right?
That's correct, yes.
Now, uthi kuyiqiniso ukuthi yona le mininingwane le uyithola lana uyithola njengoba ucingo ulisebenzisa ngokufona noma ukuthumela i-message noma uyathetha noma ku-Google.
Now let's go back to the time, the one that I see randomly, 15/23/35, on the 15th of March 2021. Put that on record, that the activity that occurred there.
At 15/23/35 on the 15th of March 2021, the number ending 6890 was on voicemail.
Uthi nge-15 zakaMarch yona le nombolo lephelela nge-6860 yayi ku-voicemail ngaleso sikhathi.
The number ending 3204 tried to call the number 6890. The tower picked up there is Grundling, which is MPU Mpumalanga.
Leyo ke yasebanjwa yile ndawo yasedweni yaseMpumalanga.
Now, I'm not going to take you through all of those. In the context of my learned colleague's objection just now, I did not suck this thing up from my thumb. This thing comes from NIMO's, and this CF, it is a transaction, correct?
It is a transaction because there's a call duration.
Let's go to...
Kuyakhomba ukuthi lokhu awuthathanga njena akunjena kuwe. Yiloko ukhomba lana ukuthi lelo cingo lasebenza.
Let's go randomly again to the 17th of March 2021 at 11:23:54. There's an activity of incoming SMS. Do you see that?
Yes.
Put that on record again.
The number ending 6890 received an SMS at 11:23:54. That was a SMS sent from Vodacom, and the tower picked up there was still Grundling.
Okay.
Uthi le nombolo yathola i-SMS kanti yayithola kule tower le ye-Grundling.
Okay. Let's see if on this data from the 15, 16, 17, wherever it ends, if there were any incoming calls or outgoing calls.
No, there were no incoming or outgoing calls. The next column is GPRS data. The calls, the AMA transactions in at 19 March 2021 at 13:58:31 seconds.
Uthi lapho ke usuka lapho akuzange kube khona ucingo leli langena noma lapho imininingwane njena le vela ku-GPR.
And the GPRS data is for the date of the 15th of March 2021, but just in summary, we've dealt with this before. You've stated that GPRS data may be anything, maybe a data call, maybe an internet search, maybe anything that has got to do with the user using internet on his device, correct?
Yes.
My Lord, those are the questions that I
lokho
needed to.
kukhomba ukuthi akulona kungokwendalo imininingwane lena ungayithola kusuya kuma ngedelisa ngayo ngingayenza leyo mininingwane.
Yes, sir. Mr. Minister.
Can I close this down, my lord?
Yes, you are through with this.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor. And also thank you for such invaluable assistance in the aspect of your evidence that you came to deliver here. It was really invaluable. That shows that the 26 experience that you have at Vodacom is not for nothing. Thank you again. Now, you told the court that part of your studies that you went through, you have a diploma in legal studies that you got from Tamelin in 2022, and so. Thank you. You also had other certificates that you also obtained from Vodacom University, which relate to fraud, corruption, and other various aspects of the law. Not so.
Imfundo zakhe waba certificate futhi lezi zaka ngezethule ku Vodacom ezokuphenya ezokukhwabanisa.
Now, in your area of operation, how does fraud manifest itself?
Could you perhaps elaborate?
Thank you. You know, when somebody that is working at a bank and they're talking of fraud that is happening at the bank, do you still remember checks? Yeah, somebody would write the 110 rand on the check, and somebody will come and write and add another one there to be 1,110 rand. That is actually fraud.
Correct.
Do you understand?
Uyavuma ukuthi nangabe umuntu uyakhwabanisa omunye angabhala u10 rand bese omunye umuntu kuleyo check ebese ufaka u1 bese lokho kuphenduke kube yi110 rand.
Now when they go and catch the check, let's say the master sent him to go and cash 110 rand, and then he adds his other one, then it becomes 1,110 rand. Then at the bank gives him that 1,110 rand, and then he takes the 1,000 rand. Then he takes to the master that 110 rand. That is fraud, not so. That is how fraud manifests itself, amongst others, at the bank or in the banking industry. But there are a number of examples. That was just one of the examples. Thank you. Do you now understand?
Yes.
Now, in your area of operation, cell phone data system, how does fraud manifest itself? For you to have been also taught about fraud.
So we have SIM card fraud, where fraudulent SIM swaps are done. We have identity fraud, where an incorrect person would pose as that particular person and take out a SIM cell phone contract. We have fraud whereby airtime is purchased or given to somebody else fraudulently.
Yes.
So there's a number of ways that we experience fraud.
Kusho ukuthi
I
lesebenza
deal with them.
khona ukukhwabanisa uthi ukukhwabanisa kwakhona kungaba ama-SIM card bakhwabanisa i-SIM card bese kuba ukukhwabanisa kwama-ID bese umuntu uyangena ukwenza i-contract ye-cellphone kanti ngaleso sikhathi bese uphana ngamagama awangasiyiwo owakhe bese lokho kuphenduka ukuthi i-fraud uyakhwabanisa ngaleyo ndlela uthi kuningi lokho ebakuthola.
Thank you. That is just one of the examples. Now, you told the court that I don't know whether this is an argument between the cell phone providers, but clearly speaking about Vodacom here, you're working for Vodacom, not so, and the South African police, that they are granted some access into your system where they can have an access to the section 205. Did I get you clear on that?
Yes, it's not every member of the South African Police Services.
Yes.
It is a handful of SAPS members
Yes.
that work at the TSU in all 9 provinces. They have access to the front end of our NEMO system.
Yes.
Uthi basebenzisana namaphoyisa kanti akuwona wonke amaphoyisa laba bavunyelwe ukuthi bangangena kulama system wabo kodwa lawo maphoyisa banikezwe imvume ukuthi bangangena kulama system wabo nangabe baphenya indaba zokukhwabanisa kule TSU nakhona baba khona lawo maphoyisa wonke lama province.
Thank you. Now, you further told the court that those who have the liberty or the privilege to get into your system gets allocated with a code. What did you say now? It's PIN number or PIN code.
They have a username
Yes.
and a password.
Password.
Laba bavunyelwe ukuthi bangangena kulama system wabo banikezwe yibona le nkampani yabo ibanikeze ama username amagama lawa bangangena ngawo noma ama password basebenzisa ama password ukungena kulama system wabo.
Now, who gives them, or where do they get this password and the username from?
So they actually sign an application, a NEMO application form.
Yes.
They are vetted. They are given a username and password by my management.
Kanti ngaphambi kokuthi bakhona ukungena lawo maphoyisa bafanele banikezwe imvumo kubona base baphana ngamagama ukuthi awobani umanejara wabo la isebenza khona kube uyena ozobanikeza imvumo yokuthi bangakhona ukungena kulama system.
Thank you. Now, just to get a clearer picture, assume Mr. X is attached to a TSU. He is a member of the South African Police. He's been granted access by having been handed with a password and a username by your manager. Then you specifically working on a particular case. Does Mr. X have to liaise with you before they get into the system, or they can just get into the system as and when they want?
So let me just make mention that NEMO
Yes.
is auditable. We do an audit trail on NEMO in terms of access and who does what, when they do whatever they need to do. So in terms of just accessing the system for no apparent reason, we would then know that at Vodacom. NEMO actually is traceable. We see what work is done on. And in terms of the TSU, you will have to upload section 205. You have to add the relevant information such as the IO's details, the CAS number, the crime. So all of that is monitored and is audited.
Thank you.
kanti kunimo ungangena njengoba bakunikeze imvume ukuthi ungangena kulama system kodwa nase ungenile bazokhona ukubona ukuthi wena wawungene kunimo ngenxa yokuthi unayo password ne-user yokuthi ungene kodwa ku-TSU mawungena khona ufuze ufake imininingwane eminingi ehambelana nalo mthetho we-205 ukuthi ama-case number ufake kube ukhona lokho ozokhona ukuthi ungangena kuyo i-TSU.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, as I understand you, in our example of Mr. X does not necessarily have to get into the system through you, being a person that is working on a particular case. You can just get in as and when, as long as he logs in his details and all the information that you would use later on for the auditing purposes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Lo Mr. X yena angakhona ungena kodwa uzokhona ukubona kuzobonakala ngenxa ukuthi le system nangabe yena ungenile njengoba bemnikeze imvume ukuthi angakhona ungena kodwa mase bona bayobhekisisa noma ba auditor imisebenzi yabo bazokhona ukubona ukuthi lo muntu obengenile.
Now, there are many reasons that Mr. X can get into the system for. Are there specific areas, are there specific areas that you would allow Mr. X to get into your system for?
Yes, well, Mr. X would only have access to the front end.
Yes.
And no other access. Different levels of access are created for different people. So in terms of my access to Nemo, it would be different to Mr. X or the TSU person. So
Mr. X noma ekhona ukungena kodwa akakhona ukungena athole yonke into ngaphakathi babanikeze imvume ukuthi bangene kodwa uzongena athole lokho babanikeze imvume yokuthi bangakhona kusho ukuthi nangabe angathi ufuna ukudlulela ngale angeke akhona ukudlula ngoba imvumo yakhe yale bamnike yona ngale nto yizovuma ukuthi angene ukufika endaweni ethize kuphela.
Thank you. Now, let's talk of Mr. X being a member of the TSU, and they have been requested by a certain investigating unit to check and compare cell phone activities of a particular suspect, and they want to get into your system, go and check on their section 205. Would they only be limited to that 205, or they can as well go to other areas within your system?
no, they are limited to what they submit.
Okay.
Mr. X or the TSUs have access to what they submit. I think
kusho ukuthi laba abanikezwe imvumo ukuthi bangakhona ukungena ngenxa yokuthi bafuna imininingwane ukuya nge-205 abakhona ukungenelela banikezwe njena indawo yokuthi bangangena ukuyofika kuphi abakhona ukungenelela bayingena baze bayophuma le.
Thank you.
I think it's important for me to mention
Yes.
that if Mr. X submits a subpoena, we at the LEA department either declines that or approves that request.
Ngithi ku-Mr. X uyenza isicelo kulesi sicelo sakhe bona bayakhona ukuthi bangamvumela ukuthi angakhona ukuqhubekela phambili noma bona ngokwabo bangala leso sicelo sakhe.
Thank you. Let us not get into the dynamics of what would be the reason why it gets approved and the reason why it gets declined. Thank you. Now, Mr. X from the TSU. What does TSU stand for?
Technical Support Unit,
Thank you.
which is now called a POCM Officers. It's a Provincial Office of Interception and Monitoring.
My colleagues did not get that. The what does, which is called now what? My colleagues did not get that. I also did not get that.
It's the Provincial Office of Interception and Monitoring.
Kuthi khona manje le TSU bayishintshile sekuyi program.
Thank you. Now, Mr. X gets a permission to get into your system. He gets allocated with a password and a username. Thank you. Just there. Now, you have penned in affidavit. I don't know what exhibit is this now. I think in exhibit J1. In exhibit J1. Actually, in all the affidavits that you have penned, this is just a repetition of what is contained in J1, where you yeah, I think in all the affidavits that you penned, it's just an extension of what is contained in exhibit J1, where you introduce yourself there, and do you have that affidavit? Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I think it's on page, if I count the pages, it should start on page number 7, because up to page number 6, it's something else. It's a subpoena in terms of section 205, 51 of 1977, but now your affidavit starts in what would be a sequential reference as page number 7. Now, paragraph 1, 2, 3, you introduce yourself and all the things that you do. Number 4, you also state what called data-related information is and how it gets obtained, and it's just a brief explanation of your internal activities there at Vodacom. Thank you. Now, paragraph number 5. That is where you deal about the ethics of it all. The do's and don'ts and everything, not so?
Yes.
Yeah. Let us briefly, I don't want to read that on record. I will not be requesting you to read that on record because it's already evidence that is there. Actually, on paragraph number 4, there is somewhere, or amongst others, the following is stated. Once Vodacom receives a request, that is now on line number 1, 2, 3, 4, in the middle of line number 4, ne? Yes. Once Vodacom receives a request to access and supply an extract of call data-related information from a law enforcement agency, this extract is permanently electronically archived. That is understandable?
Uyavuma ukuthi ukuya ngale mithetho yabo kanti nangabe umuntu uyenza isicelo leso sicelo sifika kubona baba Vodacom mabeqeda ukusimukela lesi sicelo bazothatha leso sicelo sakhe bese siyobekwa kuma archives ukuthi kuma safe la sizogcinwa khona siyohlala isikhathi eside sibekwe la.
Thank you. Now it proceeds and say a call data related information is generated in a PDF format, stored and communicated by the servers and cannot be altered, manipulated, tampered with by anyone whilst on the servers. The manner in which the integrity of the call data is maintained is considered reliable as contemplated in section 15.3 of the Act, which I presume is the Act that is just mentioned above, that is now the Electronic Communications and Transaction Act number 25 of 2002. Is that not so?
Yes.
Do you confirm this?
Paragraph 4, yes.
Yes. What I've just read now, out on record. Right.
Uyavuma ukuthi leso sicelo njengoba sigcinwe lapho siyobekwa kuseva angeke kube noma ubani lozokhona ukungena noma ukusithinta siyohlala ngaleyo ndlela ngale ndlela ebesibeke ukukhona.
Thank you. Now, it seems to me. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I thought when you took a pause, I thought we were just done, so I wanted to proceed. Are you done now?
I am done.
Okay, thank you, sir. It seems to me from the reading of this paragraph that there's a bit of a disclaimer from Vodacom. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. It says, the call data related information is generated in a PDF format, stored and communicated by the servers and cannot be altered, manipulated or tampered with by anyone whilst on the servers. Do you follow me? Thank you. Now that sounds to me that Vodacom says, whilst we are in possession of this information in our servers, nobody can manipulate it, nobody can tamper with it, and nobody can alter it whilst it's in our servers. Am I
Correct.
Do I understand that to mean that? Thank you.
Uyavuma ukuthi njengoba umthetho wabo wakaVodacom ukuthi umuntu nangabe uyenze leso sicelo siyogcinwa kulama server wabo. Nasi kulama server. Kusho ukuthi angeke kube khona umuntu ongakhona ukuyosithinta noma ukusishintsha noma ukuphazamisana naso. Uyavuma.
Thank you. So we are agreeing on this disclaimer part of it.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, back to Mr. X from the TSU, which is now he's got another name. Mr. X comes with all his credentials. He's given access to your servers. He extracts that information. He takes it somewhere where you not know where does it take it to, not so. Now,
Sorry, let me understand.
yes, madam.
Who extracts the information? Otherwise we're going to... Who extracts the
I'm getting
information?
there, madam.
No, wait.
But you cannot.
We at Vodacom, LEA personnel extracts the information based on what the subpoena requests.
In other words, it's not an outside person who does that. Even if he has, as you say, a PIN and a name, etc. It never tampers with your internet machinery. Nothing.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's fine.
Uthi yena nangabe leyo mniningwane seyibona kulama server wabo noma uMr X enayo imvume ukuthi angafuna ukungena angeke afuna ukuyikhipha leyo mniningwane nangabe babona base bayigcine kulama server angeke bakhona yibona kuphela bangakhona ukuyikhipha.
Thank you. Maybe there was a bit of a misunderstanding here. Is it not so that Mr. X from TSU, for them to be able to access your system, they need to have certain credentials?
Yes.
Now, once they have those credentials, they are then able to access your system in order to get that information that they want, not so?
Yes.
Exactly. So do you then understand? Do you then realize that me and you are on the same understanding? It means Mr. X is able to get into your system and retrieve the information that they want. Not that they will come to you and say, we want this information, and then you give it to them. I think that needs to be clarified to the court, because otherwise we are going to be, we'll be departing on different grounds, although parallel.
My Lord, if I could just explain how NEMO
Yes.
works so that we could actually cut
Yeah.
short my evidence, so to speak. So as I've mentioned earlier, there's different levels of access. So what the members of the TSU do, they will add the information, as I've said, and upload the subpoena to NEMO, which is on the front end. It then comes to us, the LEA personnel. We will then verify the information that the TSU has submitted against the subpoena, the 205, and to ensure that it does correlate, we will then validate and approve it. It's just a click of a button. If the information that the personnel from the TSU has added incorrectly for some reason, or submitted an incorrect subpoena that does not correlate with that information, it is declined immediately. So once it's approved by a click of a button, it is then run for the data for that requested period. And whatever else is requested on that subpoena is what we're going to get out of at the end of the day. Once the case has completed, it is then validated again by the LEA personnel to ensure that all criteria are met. Once that is done, we then go and close the case. If there's any other documents that is required and the TSU personnel do not have access to request that documents, by all means, LEA personnel goes and adds those documents. Once it has completed, again, by a click of a button, the case is then closed. It's an automated system, so everything is done automatically. Once the case is closed, an SMS is sent to the investigating officer to say that your data is ready. Please go to the TSU to collect it. And then the member at the TSU will then receive that PDF document electronically. And by a click of a button, they just upload or download that information.
Uthi yena nangabe lo muntu noma ilungu leli linayo imvumo yokuthi lingafuna imininingwane lithumela isabhina bese lifaka kuleyo sabhina liyafaka ukuthi lalicela lokhu nalokhu. Lokho bayosuka bahlale bakubheke ukuthi ngabe lento eyicelayo abangafuna ukumnika yona na. Nangabe bayibona singekho isidingo sokuthi bangamnika yona bayayala abavuni. Nangabe babona ukuthi ifanele ukuthi ayithole, yila bezoklika ibutton bese ibutton yona izovuma. Emveni kwalokho, emveni kokuthi bona basebenze okwabo umsebenzi, bazothumela yena lo nalo lo nemvumo yokuthi angangena kulama system, lo uzongena ku TSU, bese bamthumela ama-results wakhona ukuthi nawo ama-results yena uzoya bese uyakhipha lento eyifunayo, kodwa angeke akhona ukukhipha lokhu engakucelanga, ngeke ukukhona ukuphuma.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, this individual or the personnel from TSU, we've got an accreditation to get into your system. Are they conscientized of that little, what I refer to as disclaimer clause that Vodacom has, and say, look, this information, whilst it is in our servers, this is the format. Once it gets out, what you do about it, nobody must come back to us and hold us responsible. Do you?
Yes, that is why it is mentioned in our statement that when the data leaves our systems or offices, it is submitted in a PDF format.
Yes.
So we at Vodacom, LEA department, We are giving you the data in good faith.
Yes.
In a PDF format.
Yes.
Once it leaves our office, we have no idea what happens thereafter.
Okay.
But our job is to provide it in the format that it is required to be shared or submitted to the IOs or to the TSU, and that's what we do.
Thank you.
kusho ukuthi bona bakwa-Vodacom noma wena unalo ulungelo lokuthi unganikezwa lezi kodwa mase uzitholile mase zikhishwa siza kuyena bevuma ukuthi sewungayoyidownloada noma uzithole bona bathi njengoba zingakuwe athina asingeni indawo ngeke uthi mase uzitholile ubuya ngalo mthetho we-display wena mase uzitholile nasi zimoshakala wena awukhona ukuthi ungabuya kithi bese uthi lezi zinto ngoba zazigcinwe yini azisabanga ngaleya indlela zazidingakala ukuthi zibe ngakhona ngoba bona bazikhipha ngendlela efanele nasi bekuvumela ukuthi usungazithola.
Thank you, ma'am. Now, in terms of your knowledge, is there another institution or other institutions except for the service providers, cell phone service providers, that are able and capable to provide these 205 applications?
No. We do receive other applications from other institutes, but under different acts, so not in terms of a 205.
Othi yena kulo mthetho we-205 yibona phela laba baka-Vodacom laba bakhona ukukunikeza leyo mniningwane kodwa kulama amanye amakampani lawa abasebenza ngama-cellphone bona banokucela okunye lokho kungahambelani nale mithetho bacela neminye imithetho lokho kuhambelana neminye imithetho hayi lo we-205.
So do I have to understand you to mean that except for Vodacom, MTN, Cell C, I'm not so sure if there's another service provider, cell phone service provider, maybe a telecom, I'm not sure. But except those reputable institutions, there's no person who's able and capable to generate something akin to a 205 Vodacom data.
I can only speak for Vodacom, and I can tell you that other than SAPS, the South African Police Services, submitting a 205 subpoena,
Yes.
no one else has access to our systems to submit a 205 subpoena. As I've said, there are institutes, but under their legislation or their acts, they can then submit subpoenas.
Uthi ubuya ngaye ayikho enye inkampani le ngakhona ukuthi yenze isicelo se-205 ubuya ngemithetho yaka-Vodacom kodwa laba abanye bona bayakhona ukuthi bayenze lezo zicelo zabo ngeminye imithetho hayi lo hambelana ne-205.
Thank you, ma'am. What I mean within this context, a generation to generate, to generate the 205, like the format in which this 205 has been seen here at court, like this is the MSIDT and all those particulars that are contained in the 205. Is there any other institution except those reputable service providers that are capable of doing that?
If you're talking
Not
about,
a request.
if you're talking about a generation of a 205
Yes.
subpoena, my understanding is that the IO has to generate that subpoena. He has to then get it stamped by the magistrate and a
Yes.
prosecutor. So if you want me to elaborate on that, that's my understanding that only an investigating officer of a particular case can generate that subpoena.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ubuya ngale ndlela ezwisisa ngakhona iphoyisa leli eliphenyayo yilona leli lingakhona ukuthi liyenze imininingwane yesapina lona ngokwalo, ngoba leyo imininingwane yesapina iyenzwa abomshoshisi nakomantshi, kanti lokho kusuka kuqelwa yileli phoyisa lelo leli lizabe liphenya icala.
Thank you, ma'am. Maybe I used the term 205 in a very loose way. That's how we normally understood it from years ago. But what I mean here, the data that is requested in terms of the 205 application, I refer to the data. In your understanding, except for these three reputable institutions, the service providers, is there any other institution that you know of that is capable of generating the data, they call data, which is the subject of the 205 application?
No, if it pertains to Vodacom, no other.
Thank you.
Uthi yena nangabe umuntu lamanye ama-cellphone afuna esinye isicelo se-205 ukuya ngaye akukhonakali ngaphandle ko-Vodacom kuphela, yiyo ekhona ukuyenza leso sicelo.
Thank you. Your information is stored in a is generated in a PDF format. That is what is contained in paragraph 4, the anti-penultimate line of paragraph 4. What is this PDF format?
It is a portable document format.
Uthi le PDF kuyincwadi yile kuzobhalwa khona leyo mininingwane ibhalwe ngokulandelana kwayo.
So it's you say it's a document wherein the information that has been requested it's written on, if I may to use the word written, in a chronological sequence. That is what the interpreter said.
No, so
Yeah.
so
Can you please explain again? Don't worry, take your time. Take your time. Yeah.
this exhibit,
Yes.
triple J1,
Yeah.
my statement,
Yes.
the data I provided,
Yes.
this is a PDF format.
Okay.
We cannot go back and overwrite what is written on here. We cannot remove anything. We cannot add any information
Yeah.
on here. Once we give it an electronic signature, as you would then find
Yes.
on one of these pages, it is locked as a document.
Thank you.
Nothing can be altered, nothing can be manipulated, nothing can be added, nothing can be removed.
Thank you.
Uthi ukufana nalesi statement sakhe njengoba esesibhale ngale ndlela esingakhona angeke kukhonakala ukuthi kulesi statement bese uyofaka okunye phezulu noma ubhale okunye mase uqede ukusiyenza noma njengoba sesiyezwe esinje awukhona ukuthi ungakhipha okunye lokho sokubhalile njengoba ubhale kuphelele kunjena bese uyaqina babonisa ukuthi lana sengiqinile angeke kusakhona ukuthi kungafakwa yini noma kukhishweni kuzo.
Thank you, ma'am. Let us pause this aspect for now. I don't want to say let us put it in abeyance because abeyance could be too far, but let us just pause. Thank you. Now, exhibit triple G1. Exhibit triple G1. Now, that is a call data. I no longer say 205.
Yes.
That's a call data that was generated as a result of an application made in terms of 205 of the Criminal Procedure Act.
Yes, this triple G1 includes my statement as well as the call data. That is correct.
Uthi le ncwadi le phethe iphethe imininingwane kanti le statement sa.
Thank you, ma'am. That is also, it's generated and is also made available in a PDF format, not so?
Correct.
Nayo ibhalwe ngendlela ye-PDF.
Thank you. Now, this call data had to do with the application in relation to cell phone number 072 766 8169, not so?
Correct.
Thank you.
Ikhuluma nge-cellphone number le qeda ukuyibiza manje.
Now, I'm going to be a protagonist of relevance. This trial, it's about an incident that occurred on the 26th of October 2014. 26 October 2014. The allegations that the state has brought before the court are that around 8:30 in the evening, there was an intrusion in a particular home at Flores. It's an open secret. At, I think it's Kutlanong Street. Yeah, I think it's number 11. Yes, that is at this incident happened at number 13511 Kutwanong Street at Flores. That is what brought us here. Now the state invited us and the accused to come here and be part of this trial on the allegations that are leveled against this accused. Amongst others, the state then went out of its way to demonstrate that the accused, I'm representing accused number 3, that accused number 3 as well was part of those intruders, or was one of those intruders who got into the house. Amongst others, to demonstrate that he was one of those intruders that got into the house, the state then led the evidence of his cell phone call data, which was handed in as Exhibit G1. Thank you. Now let's quickly go to the 26th of October 2014 in relation to the call data on the phone ending with 8169.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, that information, starts, or the activities of the phone that ends with 8169 are on page number 10 of the call data. And they're just down the line. That's where the activities of the 26th starts. Are you with me, ma'am?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Now, I'm just asking myself whether it will be necessary for me to request you to repeat this information, or I just get into what I want you to comment on. So, I said to you I'm going to be a protagonist of relevance. That will be relevant as well, but I'm just asking myself if that will be necessary. I'm still thinking. Thank you, ma'am. Now, on a number of occasions, you have been requested to relate this information, to put this information on record, not so.
Yes.
Yeah. I think the state did that. My state are also my colleagues. My colleague for the states also, they did that. My colleague, Mr. Mgomezulu, also did that. I think it would just be monotonous for me to request you to do that, not so. So I therefore decide that I won't really be requesting you to do that. Thank you. But now, having gone through this information time and again and again and again and again and again and again, is it so that there's a particular trajectory, movement, that this phone, we're talking of a gadget, that this phone follows from that time, I think from the date of the 26th, which start with an entry at 7:12:58, that is 7 o'clock in the morning, 12 minutes past 7 o'clock and 58 seconds in the morning. And then it follows a particular trajectory up until the end of its activities or recorded activities, which are also on the 26th at 20:32:57. Are you with me, ma'am?
Yes, I am.
Fast for you.
I see that.
Thank you.
Uyabona ukuthi le cellphone yaqala ukusebenza nge-26 zaka-October 2014. Yilokhu yasebenza yaze yawugcina ukusebenza ntambama ngebo 2032 ntambama.
Thank you.
Ukuthi uyakubona lokho.
And the next entry on that phone or activity on that phone is on the 27th, at 27th October 2014 at 8 minutes past 8, 17 seconds in the morning as well.
Correct.
Thank you.
Uyayibona ukuthi yaqala ukusebenza nge-27 ekuseni futhi yasiqala ukusebenza.
Thank you. Now, is it so, ma'am, that from its very first entry on the 26th, which is 12 minutes past 7:58 seconds on the 26th in the morning, that this gadget indicates that at some stage is in Hout Street. From Hout Street, it's picked up by a tower at Moy Street. No, these are all the streets in Joburg. I don't know Joburg well, but I think I know Moy Street in Joburg. Yes. And then from Moy Street, you go to Volhuter or Wolhuta.
Yes.
Then from Wolhuta, it gets picked up by a tower at Foslore Square.
Correct.
From Foslore Square, it gets picked up by a tower at Musleke. From there, you go to Ponejo. From Ponejo, we're now on page 11. From Ponejo, it gets picked up by a tower of Tabonsako. Then also by a tower at Tabonsako. And then it also gets picked up by a tower at Sali section.
Yes.
And then from there, it gets into Foslores.
Correct.
It spends a lot of time, this gadget spends a lot of time at Foslores up until 16:28 in the afternoon on the 26th of October 2014. Do you see that?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Uyayibona the cellphone ukuthi ngokusebenza kwayo nge-21 iqale ukusebenza eHouse eMoy Street yaseya eVolhuter yaseya eVolhuter yaseya elokuze eThabong yayoqeda isikhathi eside ise-Foslores. Uyayibona.
And from Foslores, the next tower that picks up this gadget is Heidelberg Road, and that happens at 17 minutes, It happens at 4 minutes past 17:39. I think it's 4 minutes past 5 in the afternoon.
Correct.
39 seconds, not so.
Correct.
Thank you.
Uthi uyayibona ukuthi ufikela lapho yase yobanjwa futhi le thawa yase Heidelberg road kanti kwaku ntambama ngaleso sikhathi kwakuyi 7 minutes past 5.
Thank you. Then from Heidelberg, from the tower that picks it up whilst this gadget is on its way to somewhere on the Heidelberg road, it eventually gets picked up by another tower, which is Ben Rose. It also gets picked up by another tower at Ben Rose, also gets picked up by the same tower at Ben Rose. It also gets picked up by the same tower at Ben Rose. Then from there, it gets picked up by a tower at City Deep, by the same tower at City Deep, by the same tower at City Deep. Then eventually it gets picked up by a tower at GP Street.
Correct.
And that happens at 20 minutes past 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Is that correct, ma'am?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Yathi mase ibangwa ile yase Heidelberg yayibamba usuka lapho yaya eBen Rose yasuka lapho yaya eCity Deep usuka lapho yase yobanjwa yile eyokugcina ngabo 2000 down.
Now from GP, I think it's also a minister of Joburg.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yase GP.
Yeah. I know there's a GP police station there. Yes. And then from there, from GP it gets picked up by a tower in Volhuta. From Volhuta it gets picked up by a tower in Belgravia. From Belgravia it gets picked up by a tower in Goud Street. From Goud Street it gets picked up by a tower in Moy Street. Now this is at 1934, that is 34 minutes past 7 in the afternoon or in the evening. Are you with me?
Yes.
Uyayibona ukuthi usuka lapho yabanjwa ile thawa yase eBelgravia yase ibandwa eGoud Street yaya ngase Moy yayogcina ngo-1934 ukuthi 25 to 8.
Thank you.
34 minutes to 8.
Now the last Moy Tower to pick up this phone was at 1941.
That's correct.
Now from the Moy Tower it gets picked up by the Goud Street Tower, also by the Goud Street Tower at 16 minutes past 8 in the evening. From there it gets picked up by the Moy Tower as well. From there it gets picked up by the Goud Street Tower, also by the Goud Street Tower, also by the Goud Street Tower, and the last activity on this gadget is recorded to have been picked up by the Goud Street Tower at 32 minutes past 8:57 seconds in the evening. That was the last activity that gets picked up by, that's the last activity of this gadget that gets picked up by Goud Street Tower on this day. That
Correct.
sums up basically the movement of this gadget on the day of the 26th, from the morning until the evening.
Correct.
Thank you.
Ukuthi uyavuma ukuthi akugcina le cellphone ibonwe noma ikape tower le yase Goud Street ntambama ebusuku.
Thank you. Now, ma'am, this evidence, I know I'm putting you in a corner, but I'm trying to give a holistic picture. This information that you prepared on behalf of the state is exactly what happened on that day, on the 26th of October 2014. In other words, what is contained in here, what the state requested you to assist them with, is exactly what happened on that day. That confirms the version of accused number 3. Thank you.
uthi
In this respect, thank you.
uyavuma ukuthi lokhu umshushisi bamcele laba umshushisi bamcele ukuthi azobanceda ngabo ngale mniningwane ephethwe yileli ncwadi yiloku kwashwa number 3 kahle kahle uyavuma lokho.
Now, if circumstances were to demand that accused number 3 comes and explain to this court his movement on the 26th of October 2014, he would simply say, look at exhibit G1. Nay, that is G1. Yeah, he would simply say, look at exhibit G1. That was my movement. But in amplifying it, in its amplification of his movement, this is what he's going to say. And I say, if that need would arise amongst others, I'm not here to proffer his full version, his whole story. If he has got a story to tell, that is going to be him. But in summary, this is what his version is going to be if you call upon to come and explain his movements on the 26th. This is what we would say. That indeed, he was staying in Joburg, at the corner of Hans and Moy Street. Just a second, man. May I approach accused? I think I forgot the name of the street where
Nugget.
he was in. Excuse me, madam.
Nugget. Is it Nugget?
Thank you, madam.
Is it Nugget?
He definitely says nugget, madam.
Yes, it's
so the
because
court has
I'm
got
here,
a clue
I'm
of
here
what
in
we're
court.
talking about here.
I'm here in court.
Yes.
Like Leicester.
So the court knows the place.
No, I know the evidence.
Or the evidence.
Yes.
No,
And
I
know
thought
that
the court
it's-
has got a clue of what you're speaking about here.
yeah.
No, thank you, my lord. Yes. He says he was renting a flat at Corner Lane and Nugget Street. At Corner Main and Nugget Street, which is in the city center of Joburg. Thank you. So, there's no, it is no wonder why when he woke up on the 26th of October 2014, when he started to be busy with his phone, we see all those Ho Street, the Moy Street, and the Volhuta Street, because he was staying around that area. But in a sense, this is what he says, that in the morning of the 26th, himself, in the company of accused number 4, who's Mr. Mapisa, and other gentlemen, which he, sorry, where's that?
Uyavuma ukuthi nangabe unumber 3 unikeza ithuba lokuthi eze ezofakaza uzovuma ukuthi lokufakaza lokho kuvele kuleyanwazi kuhambelana naloko engakusho ngenxa yokuthi ngalelo langa behlala eMain Nugget kungalokho lemniningwane lo fakazi lo uyilethela ihambelana naloko engakuchaza ukuthi ngoba ebehlala eduze naleyo ndawo kungalokho i-cellphone yayipick up yilawo amathawo ngoba behlala lawo.
Now he says that himself, Mr. Mapisa, a gentleman called Skaya, another gentleman called Zenzele, there was also another gentleman called Mabungu, there was also another gentleman called Ndawonde, They then hatched a plan. They decided to drive to Spruit. They used a Kumbi that was driven by Senzo Meyiwa. Spruit, it tells me that Spruit it's another name for Katlehong. I'm not. You say Spruit is another name for Katlehong. I don't know where Spruit is. I don't know where Katlehong is. But that is where they decided to drive. They went there to see some of their friends as well, because some of their friends were staying there. Then they got to Spruit. Let me tell you, he's not so sure about the time, the exact time. I think it will be a fallacy again to expect him to say, at 31 minutes past 9 o'clock, this is where we were. At 35 minutes past 9 o'clock in the morning, that is where we were. I just want this court to have that in mind. But he says, on this day, this was his movement. They ended up at Spruit, which is the reason why at 27 minutes past 11, there's that tower there, Moseleke and Ponejo. Those towers are in Spruit, are in Katlehong. So they say. Now, they saw some of their friends there. As I'm saying, this is just a summary of he would come and tell the court if circumstances arise. You should not be persecuted for saying that, but your counsel never said this, you are saying this. This is just a summary. He will come and add all the information himself. Thank you. Because I know the trick. Yes.
Uyavuma ukuthi unumber 3 uthi yena ngalelo langa ubukela ehlala khona kwase uhlangana nabanye abangani bakhe noma abayazana nabo base bayasuka ukusuka kwabo base bephume ukuthi masihambeni siyobona abangani noma umngani noma abangani eSpruit basuke bayakhona kodwa angeke esho ukuthi basuke ngobani la bebekhona angeke afune ukusho lokho kungalokho ngalelo langa lesemfundo yakhe isuke yabandwa yile tower le yase Mulele eSpruit.
Thank you. They Moseleke, not Moleleki.
I beg your pardon, my lord. Moseleki.
Yes. There's also Ponejo there.
Is it also?
Ponejo. Thank you. They stayed there for some time. He can also remember for how long did they stay, because that was not their ultimate destination. Their ultimate destination was Foslo-Res, which is the reason why at 26 minutes past 12, they were still at Spruit. We see that tower, Taponsako. Yes. He was busy in his phone. There's also that Taponsako tower that caught his phone. They were still in Spruit in Katlehong. Also at Sally section is also at Spruit in Katlehong. Then from there, they drove over to Foslo-Res, which was their destination. And actually at Foslo-Res, they did not go to the entire Foslo-Res, but they visited a specific area at Foslo-Res which is called Lesedi. Now, as I'm saying, you can't really say that at Foslo-Res we arrived exactly at 15 minutes past 12 or at 15 minutes past 1. But at some point, midday, they arrive at Foslo-Res, which is then the reason why at 13:41, we see that his phone is picked up by some towers at Vosloorus up until 1628, that is 1628-56, they were still in Vosloorus, specifically at Lesedi. Now what he says is that whilst at Lesedi, they were not seated like stones or senseless things. They would go out and buy beer. They would go out and do this, go out and do this, go out and do this. Which is the reason why you see all those activities there, like for Vosloorus SGS3, Vosloorus West SGS2 and all those things. But their central focus was at Lesedi. Thank you, Mr. Interpreter.
Othi yena umangalelo uzothi yena sithe masuka espread bese kahle sase siyasuka siya eVosloorus kungalokho sathi masise eVosloorus ithawa le kuthiwa ithabongitsako yabamba iselfoni kwasi sasuka saya eLesedi yila sifike sabakhona kodwa angeke ngisho kahle ukuthi lapho sathi sizosuka noma sahlala isikhathi esingakanani ukusuka lapho sase kuyiwa eVosloorus.
Thank you. Now at Vosloorus they also there by Lesedi. Lesedi is a section in Vosloorus. They also visited a friend of theirs, a certain Mr. Ngamuza. But as I'm saying, you will come and admit to what I've already on the foundation that I've already laid on what he will come and say. Then from Lesedi, in the afternoon, they then decided to hit the road back home or to where they were staying. After having had that jamboree, you know, all the festivities there. Then they decided to hit the road to where they were staying in Joburg, which is the reason why you see that at 5 in the afternoon, on the same date, his cell phone is picked up by a tower, Heidelberg.
Correct.
At Heidelberg Road. And then from there we get into Ben Rose and all those things up to Holt Street. That is his version. Thank you, Mr. Chief.
Uthi yena umangalelo umusho ukuthi bathe ma bekhona eLesedi bahlala eLesedi kwaze kwafika la kuthiwa manje masibuyelele emakhaya kungalokho iselfoni yakhe yasebanjwa ile tower le yase Heidelberg Road kusuka lapho yase iyobanjwa ile yase Ben Rose ngoba ngaleso sikhathi base bezitshele ukuthi sekwenele ithi sibuyele ekhaya.
Thank you. Now, on their arrival in Joburg, they went to George Koch Hospital, men's place. What is it now? Hostel. Yes, George Koch Hostel. George Koch Hostel is in the vicinity of the area known as Ben Rose, which is then no surprise that upon their arrival in Joburg, it's depicted on this exhibit that they spent some time around Ben Rose. Now at Ben Rose, not really at Ben Rose, at George Koch Hostel, which is in the vicinity of Ben Rose, that is where then they met accused number 5. He was from work. That is his version. Then from there, okay.
3 uthi yena sithe masisuka eVosloorus sibuyela la sikhala khona saya kahle saya eGeorge Koch kungalokho le cellphone isuke yabanjwa ile lokhuza yase Ben Rose ngoba iGeorge Koch iwela phakathi kwe Ben Rose baba khona lapho ukuzofika ngalesi sikhathi bezohlangana no number 5 ngaleso sikhathi number 5 yena ebese buya emsebenzini.
Thank you. Then they had some few festivities there. Then they decided to leave Joshkor to their respective areas. But they traveled in the same motor vehicle in the Kumbi. Accused number 1, no. Accused number 4 was left at around GP Street. May I approach accused, man? Thank you. Now, accused number 4 was left around street known as Julie Street. Him, that is number 3, and accused number 5 were dropped at the flat that is at corner Main and Nugget Street, where they were sharing a room. Because of the fact that they've been busy the whole day, there was, the state of sobriety had been abrogated. Accused number 2, no. Accused number 5 was from work. They then slept up until the following day.
Kodwa bathe mabesuka lapho ke bese bayahamba usukela eJoshkor. Ukuhamba kwabo number 4 base bamshiya eJoshkor Street. Bona base baqhubekela phambili ngohambo labo ngenxa yokuthi ngenxa yalokho kwakuyenzeka emini nokukhathala kwase kusongathi kuyazwakala base bagcina ukuthi masihlukane bayoyiphumulela ngalokho babe kuyenza emini ikhona lokho kwakuyenza ukuthi amandla nawo songathi awasabikho.
Thank you. Now, in amplification of the fact that they were at George Gore Hostel, I would want us to go to Exhibit S. Who's my next? A second, my lord. I'm trying to get my Exhibit S here.
Photo number 27.
My lord?
Photo number 27.
No, Exhibit S is not photo number 27.
Which photo do you want to see?
Yes. On Exhibit S.
Exhibit S.
I do not have a copy of
Oh,
Exhibit
okay. I'm
S.
going to request the state, my lord, to assist us with the photo album.
Photo 17.
What number is that?
It's photo 17.
Oh, 17. Okay, go on.
No, wait. On photo number, on Exhibit S, my lord. Now, let us start with photo number 9. I'm not so sure whether technology would allow us to have that photo beamed on the main screen there.
But how does this with this?
Last time, our colleague here was very handy, Mr. Sibande was very handy in beaming that information. I'm not so sure if he would
Sorry,
offer
Mr.
assistance.
Nisi, do you want this woman, this witness
Yes, ma'am.
to testify about the photos, make comments about the photos?
No.
So why do you show her all this?
No, my lord. I'm avoiding a situation
Of what?
where, look, these photos, they also correlate to the testimony of the cell phone data that, this witness has testified about. Yes. So there's a synergy there. It's one supports the other. So it will be a miscarriage of justice on my side if I don't do that, don't go for accused number 3. But nonetheless, ma'am, let us proceed. I think everybody has got a photo album, Exhibit S. It might not be necessary for us to have it pinned there. Photo number 9. on Exhibit S.
Which page is photo number?
That's page 9. I'm sorry. That should be page 9. Yes.
I am on page 9, photo number 9.
Yes. On page number 9, there are two gentlemen that are squatting there, although that photo is a little bit blurred. But the gentleman who's in lightish clothes, that's accused number 3. The gentleman who is at the back with the bluish clothes, that's accused number 4. And according to the information that we received from the state, this photo was taken on the 26th of October 2014 at 11:52. And this information that is depicted there is depicting them being sprayed at Mazibuko hostel. This is just to amplify what is contained in your cell data as well. Now you will see that from 11:27 up until 12:41, as per his version, they are at Katlehong or at Spruit. So basically the time at which this photo is information that's from the state, this photo was taken from between those two time frames. As I've said, they might not specifically say, at this point in time, at 3 minutes past this so much, this is what we were doing. It would be like expecting the impossible from them. Thank you.
Uyavuma ukuthi lezi ithombe uyazibona zombili. Kodwa uthi yena uyazibona. Uyatshelwa ukuthi lezi ithombe ngalesi sikhathi zithathu. U4 no5 ngalesi sikhathi bethatha lezi ithombe babe spread eMazibuko hostel. Kanti kwase kuthathwa lezi ithombe.
Thank you. Now let's go to page 12. Of the same photo album. Now this is another photo on the information that was presented by the state, on the evidence, not only information, on the evidence that was presented by the state that depicts accused number 3. And according to the state's evidence, this photo was taken at 17:31:14, that is 31 minutes past 5 in the evening, in the afternoon. And according to him, accused number 3, this area that is depicted there is George Koch Hostel. Now, very interesting, man. Now, when you look in the broader aspect of this photo, what would your comment be with regard to the hairstyle that accused number, that this person that is depicted on this photo is wearing?
Do you want me to comment on his hairstyle?
No, not comment. What you see here, your observation. I'm not saying comment. You know, a comment might be something that comes out of your viewpoint. But what you see here, what is it that you see here?
I see a picture of a gentleman enlarged, and then another gentleman on the left-hand side, and
Yes.
the one on the right-hand side
Yes.
is facing the gentleman that's enlarged.
Thank you, man.
Uthi kulesi sithombe njengoba esibuka ubona isithombe lesi esikhulisiwe ebese ubona umuntu owesilisa ngapha esandleni sokunxele ubukelo noma ubheke ngakulo kulesi sithombe la sikhulisiwe khona omunye abe ngapha esandleni sokudla naye ubheke ngapha kulo esithombeni la sikhulisiwe khona.
Thank you, ma'am. Let us, before we adjourn for lunch, I said, what is it that you are observing about the hairstyle that he's wearing? the gentleman with, that gentleman who's got an enlarged photo there. What does his hairstyle look like?
It's long,
Yes.
perhaps plaited, or I don't know what you call this hairstyle, but it's
Thank you.
uthi yena
long.
uthi uyasibona lesi sithombe lo muntu kulesi sithombe unenwele ezinkulu kanti ukubakhulu kwazo lezi zinwele ubonisisa ngathi uziyenzele phansi uzishayele phansi kodwa zinde.
Yeah, well, you would not be faulted to try and give a definition of what you see here. Don't worry, man. I understand you're not an expert. But again, is it also correct that what is depicted on this photo is that on his left hand ear, he's wearing an earring? No, the evidence doesn't see this. You must either say yes or no.
Yes.
Thank you.
Uthi uyambona lo muntu kulesi sithombe ukuthi endlebeni le lesandla sokunxele ufake iqhiqi.
Thank you, my lord. I think this is an opportune time for us to adjourn for the lunchtime. Thank you, my lord.
What should I make of the evidence you're giving this witness to say?
Excuse me, my lord.
What should I make of the evidence that this gentleman has got an earring on his ears?
What should the court make of that evidence?
You said that to her.
Yes.
What should I make of that?
It will be up to the court.
No, I'm asking you.
For that evidence. I cannot direct the court what to make of that evidence.
Am I correct to say you suggested that? To
Yes.
him?
Yes.
Okay, fine, no problem.
Yes.
No problem.
Yes.
Okay, 2 o'clock.